The men's soccer team claims the top seed in the conference tournament.
And the football team's struggles continue.
This is All Access, and it starts right now. Welcome to All Access, the show that compares to the best team in a pro sports league, much like the surprising 6-1 Philadelphia Eagles. I'm Cody Decker.
And I'm Derek Hill. While the Eagles are flying high, the prof sports teams are looking to round out their regular seasons on a high note. So let's begin today with the latest from the soccer pitch. Cody?
Thanks, Derek. The men's soccer team took on the Ramapo Roadrunners on Saturday afternoon in what turned out to be a defensive showcase. The game ultimately ended in a scoreless tie in surprising fashion. The Profs totaled 26 total shots, with 15 of them being on goal. This is compared to the Roadrunners' 5 total shots, only 3 of them being on goal. This stat alone shows the Profs' resiliency on the defensive side of the ball. Their efforts came up short, though, as the Roadrunners' 15 total saves forced the tie in the afternoon affair.
The Rowan University men's soccer team wrapped up their regular season Wednesday with a big 8-2 win over TCNJ. Matt Hendrickson and Shane Doherty led the way for the Profs with 2 goals apiece. Each of them added an assist to go along with their impressive scoring night. The Profs completely outplayed TCNJ, as seen through their shots on goal. Rowan had 31 shots on goal to TCNJ's 8 shots on goal. The only yellow card given this matchup was to Ryan Loger of Rowan in the 65th minute. The Profs end their regular season with a 16-2-1 record, respectively.
The 18th ranked women's soccer team defeated Ramapo College 5-0 in Mahwah on Saturday afternoon. The Profs outshot the Roadrunners 24-0 in the game, with 11 of them on goal. Reigning NJAC Player of the Week, Lauren Coletti had 2 goals and 2 assists. Midfielder Lauren Wood had 2 goals and 1 assist. Midfielder Abby Daigle and forward Catherine McCary had a goal each.
In the regular season finale, the Profs fell to undefeated TCNJ in overtime by a score of 2-1. Rowan forward Catherine McCary opened the scoring in the 13th minute off a pass by Melissa Kelly. The Lions responded right away in the 14th minute with a goal by Kayla Bertolino on a header. At a 1-1 stalemate, the game went into extra time, and in the 94th minute, Kelly Carolyn scored the game winner to keep the undefeated season intact at 16-0 and securing top seed in the NJAC tournament with a 9-0 conference record. The Profs fell to 12-2 and 2 overall and 7-1 and 1 in the conference, good enough for the second seed in the tournament. Both teams will receive a bye to start the 6-team playoff. Rowan will host either Montclair State or Rutgers Newark in the semifinals on Halloween night at 6 p.m.
With the Fall Classic underway, here is Chris Devine with this week's Pro Talk.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pro Talk. I'm your host, Chris Devine, keeping you up to date in what our former colleague Tom Stanapoli would say, what is going on in the wacky, crazy, unbelievable world of professional sports. The 2017 World Series kicked off this past Tuesday night with a little bit of heat. The temperature in Los Angeles at first pitch was 103 degrees, a record for the highest temperature for a World Series game ever. The heat carried over to the bats of the Dodgers as Chris Taylor launched a home run on the first pitch of the first at-bat that the Dodgers have had in the World Series since 1988. Justin Turner hit a go-ahead home run in the bottom of the 6th inning off of Dallas Keuchel, and that's all the Dodgers needed, as Clayton Kershaw was dealing with 11 strikeouts over 7 innings, allowing only 3 hits. The Dodgers win the very important first game of the series, as the winner of Game 1 goes on to win the series more than 2/3 of the time. History is definitely on LA's side, but the Astros won Game 2, as the series is now tied 1 apiece going back to Houston. I tried not to get too excited about this next part, but the Philadelphia Eagles improved their NFL best 6-1 record with a huge win Monday night over the Washington Redskins 34-24. Quarterback Carson Wentz continued to keep his name at the top of MVP consideration, going 17 for 25 with 268 yards passing and 4 touchdowns, including a Houdini-like escape from what looked like a sure sack for a loss in the backfield. The Eagles' lead in the NFC East increased to 2.5 games over Dallas and Washington, but they now own the tiebreaker over the Skins. The Birds will have to overcome key injuries, though, as All-Pro left tackle Jason Peters tore his ACL and linebacker Jordan Hicks tore his Achilles tendon. The team's chances of making the playoffs now sit at 96%, with an 86% chance of winning the division and a 13% chance of winning the big one. I'm not going to say it so I don't jinx it. And finally, to the squared circle, the Monday Night Raw exclusive pay-per-view Tables, Ladders, and Chairs was nearly in jeopardy this past Sunday as a viral infection was spreading throughout the WWE locker room. It is reported that a case of the mumps pulled Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, and Bo Dallas from the show, but the fans received one to remember as SmackDown superstar AJ Styles stepped in last minute to face Finn Balor. The two have a long history dating back to their days running the Bullet Club in Japan. The dream match lived up to the hype and was literally too sweet. Balor was able to pin his former colleague for now, so let's hope we see both men back together in a faction again sometime soon. Also, Kurt Angle returned to action in a WWE ring for the first time since 2006, replacing Reigns as the Shield took on The Miz, The Bar, Kane, and Braun Strowman. The match went all over the Target Center in Minneapolis with some crazy spots, but in the end, the Shield and Angle were able to pull off the upset victory. That's all I have for you on this week's Pro Talk. Later, Cody and Derek have recaps on the volleyball team, but coming up after the break, Michael will host this week's Pro Sports Roundtable, so stay tuned for some more All Access.
Welcome back to All Access. It's time for our Rowan Roundtable. Joining me today are Cody and Chris to discuss hot topics around pro sports. You guys ready?
Yep.
I'm ready. I mean, this was the old anchor pair right here, so this is going to be good. This is going to be good.
All right, so this week kicked off the World Series featuring the Houston Astros and Los Angeles Dodgers. It is currently tied 1-1 after 2 games. Who do you guys think has the edge going into these next 5 games if it goes that far?
I think the LA Dodgers have the edge, and I just like Yu Darvish coming in Game 3 and then possibly coming back for Game 7 if it gets there. That lineup is stacked. I realize Chris might be thinking that the AL, really good. Houston might be stacked, but really, I mean, that lineup is just really, really good, and they were clicking on all cylinders last night in a game where it was very, very just wild how many lead changes there were, how many ties there were at the end of the game. I like their pitching more. I honestly think Clayton Kershaw is an automatic win, and the way Yu Darvish has been pitching in the postseason, he's an automatic win as well. So that lineup's going to click, and that's going to be a difference maker too.
All right. How about you?
For me, being a fan of a National League team, I can tell you that seeing the Dodgers pretty much own the entire league, the entire whole year, except for towards the end of the season when they had that big losing stretch. But I think LA's got the advantage too. I mean, even though the series is shifting back to Houston, and even though Houston won Game 2, the Dodgers, they prolonged that game a lot more than they should have, and their bullpen has been remarkable. I think that was the first loss last night after leading after the 8th inning. They were 98-0 going into that, so it just goes to show you just how well their bullpen pitches. I mean, the Astros are going to keep this a close series. I think it's going to go 6, maybe even 7 games, but I think in the end it will be the Dodgers that come out on top.
Well, I have to agree with both you guys. I think the starting pitching is absolutely fantastic. I think that's going to ride them all the way to the championship. So I have to agree with you guys on that. So transitioning to basketball, the Cavs lose to the Nets the other day. And the Cavs came into this year, they lost Kyrie Irving, but they added Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, to name a few guys. They're supposed to be this really good team. The Nets are not supposed to be this really good team. Are we too high on the Cavs and too low on the Nets?
I don't think we're either, to be completely honest with you, and that's because Cleveland, I think, is just going to win the East. I think it's a matter it's going to be a thing. I think Cleveland Warriors 4 is going to be a thing. Really, I think we're overreacting about this loss, and it's because the Nets are going to be a building team. They're trying to get their stuff together over there in Brooklyn, and that's a solid win for them. Obviously, it's going to be a big win if they're going to try and push for that 8th playoff spot, 7th playoff spot. That's going to be an important win, but I don't think the Nets are there yet. D'Angelo Russell's not healthy, so I think it's still okay to be low on the Nets. However, being high on Cleveland is not necessarily going to be automatic wins all the time. So, Cleveland's very good. They're going to make the finals. They got a chance to win it. Brooklyn's going to be in a rebuilding stage for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Nets have won, I think all 3 of their first games at home so far. But I think part of it is we are a little too high on the Cavs. I think it's because of that expectation of Cavs Warriors 4, and the fact that the competition in the Eastern Conference in the NBA has really been dumbed down this year. It's not as competitive. It's not a powerhouse like the Western Conference. But in the NBA, especially when you're a team like the Cavs, every loss, no matter who it's to, it's going to be magnified and everything's going to be nitpicked. And the fact that they lost to a team like the Nets, who were as bad last year as they were, and you see the same thing with the Warriors in the West, where they've already lost a couple of games and everyone's already trying to hit the panic button because, they're not going 73-9 like they did 2 years ago. But I do think part of it is maybe we are a little too high on the Cavs, and I thought that maybe Boston was going to give them a run as far as the Eastern Conference is concerned, but Gordon Hayward going down in that first game really changes the outlook of everything. And I mean, who knows, maybe now a team like Washington can slip into that conference final spot and give Cleveland a run for their money. But I think in the NBA, we're a little too high on too many teams sometimes, and I think Cleveland, we might be a little too high on them as far as we are too low on the Nets.
Okay, I definitely agree with that position. So it'd be kind of hard not to hear about the Eagles this past couple of weeks. Carson Wentz playing at an MVP caliber level. Is he for real, or is this just a hot streak?
I'll take this one.
Yeah.
Yes, he is for real. Yes, he is for real, and he will win MVP. You heard it here first. Carson Wentz is the guy that we knew. He's playing like the guy that we knew he was going to be when we drafted him. And thank you, Cleveland Browns, because they are now, I believe, 1-22 since they passed on him and they didn't believe he would be a top 20 quarterback. I mean, you look at all 6 of those wins that the Eagles have so far this year. Really, it all comes back down to the way Wentz has played. I believe he has 17 touchdowns to 8 different receivers so far this year, so he's spreading the ball out. And the big thing about the Eagles, too, is that they're getting everybody involved. It's not just all going to one guy. I mean, his chemistry with Zach Ertz is amazing, but he's getting guys like Mac Hollins. Nelson Aguilar is having a big comeback year ever since they put him in the slot. Alshon Jeffrey, still waiting to kind of produce a little bit, but he's turned in some pretty good numbers so far. So, I mean, he's spreading the ball out more, and you see in post-game interviews with the players, the conversation, no matter what you're talking about, it always goes back to the leadership of Carson Wentz. This guy is for real. He's going to put the team on his back, and really the only question is can they stay healthy enough to really compete for, maybe a Super Bowl or whatnot. So, I mean, yes, he's for real.
Carson Wentz is not going to be the MVP. Who have the Eagles played this season that was good?
The Chiefs.
Okay,
Carolina.
they lost, and they beat Carolina by 5.
Okay.
Otherwise, they've played the Giants, they've played the Chargers, and the Redskins twice.
Well, you go back
I'm
and
not
look at that
impressed.
schedule before the start of the season.
I'm
The
not
Giants were supposed to be,
Who cares about
Super Bowl contender.
Oh, I'm sorry, but the season winds down. You realize teams are who they really are.
Yeah.
And Carson Wentz playing these terrible teams so far, leading to a 6-1 record. Yeah, it's great.
But the
You're best-
NFL doesn't know they're going to be terrible teams.
Yeah, okay, but they're
I
proving
mean,
to
it's
be
not,
now.
It's not Carson Wentz's fault. It's not our fault that we have the 3rd easiest schedule remaining in the league. I mean, it's just how it pans out.
And that's due to the bad performance you guys had last year and the way you ended up in the standings. Now, my MVP candidate right now is Kareem Hunt.
Okay.
And I realize he's a rookie, but the Chiefs are probably going to end up being the best team in the NFL by the end of the season. He's really had a solid year. I mean, this guy's consistent, a lot of yards, a lot of great plays coming from him. And I don't see Kansas City establishing a pass offense without Kareem Hunt getting the job started during games. So I think Kareem Hunt's the guy. As far as Philly goes, I think you could insert Robert Griffin III into this offense, and they could still have the same success. I mean, this receiving core is that good. LeGarrette Blount is a big power back who really opens up the offense, and their offensive line is very good in my opinion. So I think they're a good team, but I think we're going to start seeing a slump once they hit that Broncos game in 2 weeks. I really think Carson Wentz is going to come back to reality.
Okay, well, I'm an Eagles fan myself, so I have to side with Chris on this one.
I will say, though, that, I mean, as far as best record in the NFL towards the end of the year, I don't know if it'll be the Eagles or not because there does hit a point where their schedule does get a lot tougher, including a game at Seattle. So, I mean, we'll see.
Okay, so final question. Claude Giroux switched positions this year. He's now a left wing. He's gotten off to a really hot start. Is this the year where he eclipses 30 goals, or what do you guys think?
I'll take this one as
Start,
well.
yeah.
I think he will eclipse 30 goals. Last year, him and Shane Gostisbehere, they both had hip surgery in the offseason. Before last season, you can tell that they both struggled. I mean, so you see it on the stat sheet of all of last season, but you could just tell by watching them. This season, they swing Giroux over to the left wing position. He was kind of trying to get the feel for it in the preseason. You could tell that it was a trouble for him at first because there were some points in the preseason where his skating lanes were going back to the center position, so it's more of a mental thing. But really, putting him at left wing really just opens up more opportunities for Couturier at center and Voracek over on the right wing. And I think he's adjusting well, and you can see that. I mean, he's a lot faster. He's skating a lot smoother than he did last season. Same thing with Gostisbehere. Just skating in general, they're skating and playing a lot better than they did last year. And I mean, yeah, as far as goals are concerned, I think he can eclipse that 30-goal mark, especially when you have guys like Simmons and Gostisbehere and Provorov, and even these rookies who are now on the team. They want to try to show their worth by sharing the puck around the offensive zone as well. So, yeah, I think this season Claude Giroux gets back to 2012 form, and we see him eclipse the 30-goal mark.
How about you, Cody?
I don't think he's going to get the 30 goals, and it's basically for the argument that Chris just said, which is kind of ironic. You have Wayne Simmons, you have Voracek, you have Provorov, you have Couturier. Provorov, excuse me.
It's Russian.
Yeah, I'm not good with Russian names, as you can tell. But there's just too many guys out there who can score. And I agree with your point in that moving out to a wing position definitely helps you score more goals. If you're going to work from the inside, go to the outside. That's definitely a big tactic in trying to score goals. And I think Giroux's going to be close, but I don't think he's going to hit that 30-goal mark. I think the Flyers can do big things this year as a team, and they're going to need to score goals in order to do that against a division that I think has really improved. The Devils are playing hot right now. The Capitals are always a threat. The Penguins are the defending champs. So, I mean, this team has a lot of potential, and Claude Giroux is a great leader and all. I think he's going to come up short of that 30-goal mark, maybe around 25. But, again, there's just too many options for the Flyers to score goals.
And that would be a big improvement for him. And really, I mean, seeing him on the left wing is something I really wanted to see because, I mean, I'm sure you see it as well, especially when the Flyers are on the power play. He loves sitting over in that left wing spot ready for a one-timer at any time. He's one of the most accurate one-time shots I've ever seen. So I think finally swinging him over to that left wing side, and he's a right-handed shot on a strong side, it's paying dividends for him so far early in the season. So, I mean, yeah, we'll see where it leads him.
Yeah, no, I think it's great that he's over there too. You know, he has the ability to shoot more now. I think when he was playing the center position, he was trying to set up people more than that. So
seeing him trying to pull out of that center position too to try to get to that strong side shot seemed a little awkward at times too. So yeah, I think this is beneficial for him.
Yeah, definitely. Well, great opinions, guys. Well, that's all the time we have for this Rowan Roundtable. Up next, Cody and Derek will recap the latest from the football team. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Time to tighten our helmet straps and bring you the latest on the football team. Derek?
Thanks, Cody. The downhill slide for the football team continued this past week at 14th ranked Wesley. The Profs record fell below 500 for the first time this season with the 34-3 loss. Profs running back John Mannion ran for 107 yards on 25 carries. Quarterback Quinn Collins was 8 for 15 and threw for 111 yards. Wide receiver J.J. Kolsar hauled in 3 catches for 82 yards. Linebackers Chris Nestis and Godwin Asamoah had 9 and 8 tackles respectively. Kicker Tyler Knighton's 28-yard field goal was the only play that landed the Profs on the scoring sheet. They fall to 3-4 on the year and 2-4 in the NJAC. They will stay on the road as they travel to Salisbury University this Saturday with kickoff coming at 1 p.m.
The women's volleyball team took to the court against New York University Violets last Saturday in a matchup that looked even on paper. Kaylee Gallagher led the Profs in the matchup with 13 kills, along with Taylor Monica, who had 12 kills of her own. They also had grand assist totals from Caitlin Paxson, who had 19 assists, and Tori Mock, who had 18 assists. The Violets standout players were Rain Ellis with 20 kills and Zell Fortson with an amazing 33 assists. The Profs fell to the Violets 3-1. However, they kept 3 of those 4 sets within just 5 points. The team is now 11-16 overall for the season.
The women's volleyball team was swept in a non-conference match with Stevenson University. The set scores were 25-16, 25-23, and 25-18. The Mustangs were led by Anika Schwartz, who had 14 kills, 12 digs, and 2 aces. Julie Nightwine had 22 assists and 2 aces. For the Profs, Megan Jacoby had 8 kills and 1 block, and Caitlin Paxson had 12 assists and 3 aces. The Mustangs picked up their 27th win in 28 games on the season. It was their 15th win in a row.
The women's volleyball team bounced back on the road this week with a 3-0 win over William Patterson. The Profs are currently holding a tough 4-game losing streak that was snapped with this win. The team was led by Taylor Monica and Megan Jacoby, who each contributed 12 kills in the win. Erin Keegan contributed 4 crucial aces to the big win. The Profs currently sit with a 12-15 record on the season as they head to the New York Regional Challenge starting Friday, October 27th.
Coming up next, we have women's soccer players here for this week's Prof Spotlight. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back to All Access. Time for this week's Prof Spotlight. Joining me this week are women's soccer players Melissa Kelly, Shelby Money, and Laura Coletti. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. What are some motivators for you guys on the field?
I would say for me, definitely being a senior, knowing this is my last go around, just makes me that more determined and motivated while I'm out there playing hard for myself and definitely for the person next to me, my team. That's what we say a lot, like play hard for the person next to you, not just yourself. And that I feel like just saying that like helps us win games, just working together.
Yeah,
Doing
especially
stuff like
like both of us were seniors, so just like we want to go out on a good note with the rest of our seniors, and like it's going to be our last time playing with the girls underneath us, so we definitely want to, they motivate us, we motivate them, and we just want to end strong.
You know, leave your mark.
Yeah.
Great. As of today, the team is seated second in the conference championship tournament. How's your coach prepared you for the 31st?
Well, we go just from the beginning, even during preseason, leading into the season, it's been just focused on game by game. We've never looked ahead until like looking at, oh, we're playing this team in 2 weeks, going to the tournament. Like it's literally the game that we have next. We're preparing for that because you have to get through that one to get to the next ones. So just going through practice, he says, give it your all. We're always focusing on our weaknesses to make sure that they're becoming strengths. Anything else?
Yeah, so like basically what Mel said is that we take it day by day and we focus on what we need to improve on. So like our weaknesses, we have to work on our connections with the other people around us and being able to incorporate that into the games.
What is your most memorable game of the season?
I think for all of us, it would be winning the NJACs both times. For me, personally, my favorite is winning the NJACs last year when we won it on the TCNJ turf, because that just made it so much sweeter winning
Beat
it
them
from.
at where, they're home, take it
Yeah.
down right then and there.
Oh, I love that. And I remember when we won, I ran into Mel, I dumped into Mel.
Ran right to her. Yeah, I think I would definitely agree. I think that mine might be the first time we won, because my sister was also on the team, so we kind of like, it was a connection, So, but they're both like awesome memories that we'll always have together as a team.
Yeah, same for me, winning both NJACs, and I think making it to Sweet 16 for the first time together. We hope to make it even further this year. So that was really memorable for me.
Won't stop, can't stop.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Right.
Why stop
Yeah.
there? What would be an ideal end to the season?
I would say doing a
Winning.
three-peat.
Yeah.
We
Right.
definitely want to win another NJAC just like we did, and try and go even further than Sweet 16 and make history for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we haven't won it twice in a row. So I think for us, that'll be like our mark leaving it here, well, especially for the seniors. That'll be their mark, is winning 3 years in a row. And I think for everybody else, they just want to keep going as far as we can.
Right. So, last question. Tell me a little bit about the team and what do they mean to you?
The team means a lot to me. I actually live with 3 of the girls, Morgan, Shelly, and Danny, that play on the team. And we talk about it all the time, how this is our last go around. And they just, because of soccer, they became my best friends. And just growing up with them and, playing on the same team together and just, developing as players, really, I'm going to miss that a lot. And it means, a lot to me. And me and Melissa go way back before this even started. We used to play against each other in club, and I'm really going to miss that. So that just, motivates me even more to just we definitely want to win together again, win the NJACs, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, like we're just one huge family, and we're all best friends. Even when we don't need to be together, like we're together all the time. Like out of season, after practice, like before practice, like we're always just together. Like
I feel like a lot of teams say that, but we really are
yeah.
And I feel like that's important. I feel we play better together.
It really
since we're
bonds
that
you
close.
together, especially like freshman year. You know no one, so coming in and instantly having a group of girls, like
Family, basically.
you literally make a family.
It's like interesting because like especially with my class and probably y'all's class too, is that we played against each other or with each other when we were younger and in high school, but then coming here you're like, oh, I hate that person. But then when you come here you you learn to love them and they become like one of your closest friends, and you never thought that would happen.
Yeah, can't separate us.
Can't separate family. Well, that does it for this week's Prop Spotlight. I'd like to thank Melissa, Shelby, and Lauren for joining us. Cody and Derek, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Isla. Let's get some details on the field hockey team's latest games. Cody?
Thanks, Derek. The Rowan field hockey team defeated William Patterson 2-0 on the road on Saturday. Forward Nikki Kotelnicki had both goals for the Profs. The team outshot the Pioneers 22-3 with 19 shots on goal. Rowan goalkeeper Carly DeMarco had 2 saves, while William Patterson keeper Mallory Rickerhauser made 15 saves.
The team traveled to Stevens Institute of Technology this Wednesday to take on the Ducks. The Profs had an offensive onslaught. With 34 shots, including 22 on goal, the ladies outpaced their opponent by a wide margin, with the Ducks only having 11 total shots. The Profs distributed the ball well as 6 different Rowan players came away with a score in the game. With a 6-1 victory and a 12-5 record on the season, this game was yet another success for the team.
The Division II Rowan ice hockey team returned home on Saturday night and unloaded on the Montclair State Redhawks for a 9-1 victory. Freshman Bobby Penrod, Connor McEwen, and forward Nick Ramos all lit the lamp twice for the Profs. Trevor Rucci, Anthony Delrose, and Sam Meyer rounded out the scoring for Rowan. Goaltender Justin Nadiello settled in after allowing a goal in the opening period as he didn't allow any more shots to get by him. The Profs had no time to celebrate the big victory as they hit the road the next day to St. Joseph's University.
The D2 ice hockey team jumped back on the ice less than 24 hours after their big victory over Montclair, this time taking on the St. Joseph University Hawks. The scoring bug followed the team on the bus as they rattled off a dozen goals in a lopsided 12-0 win. Nick Ramos led the scoring for Rowan with a hat trick. Aaron Segnello and Anthony Delarose had 2 goals each. Bobby Penrod and Colin McEwen both found the back of the net for the second straight game. Justin Nadiello turned in the clean sheet, stopping all 28 shots that were fired his way. The Profs improved to 5-3 on the season and look to keep the wins coming in a 3-game stretch this weekend against Villanova, Westchester, and Penn State.
The Division II ice hockey team now playing against Villanova as we tape this episode and going into 3 games here this weekend could be a big turning point for them in the season.
Absolutely.
That is all the time we have for this week's episode of All Access. For Chris Devine, Ayala Gideon, Michael Penn, Derek Hill, and the entire All Access team, I'm Cody Decker. We'll see you next time.